Welcome to this episode of Level with Emily, featuring a conversation with Logan Biggoron Tucker. Logan is a remixer. He's a cover artist in the video game music community, and I first encountered him because of the Remix Awards at VGM Con, which just took place in Minneapolis in mid-April. So that's how I became familiar with Logan. I heard one of his tracks because of the Remix Awards, and I just fell in love with his style, and I knew I wanted to chat with him. Much to my astonishment, Logan has only been publishing his VGM covers for like a year. And he's put up quite a few in the meantime. And he's done so mostly through Dwelling of Duels, which, if you're unfamiliar with Dwelling of Duels, that's a monthly video game music cover competition where people submit their covers anonymously, the community votes on them, and then the winners are revealed their identity if they win. So that's pretty cool. Dwelling of Duels, they've been doing this for 20 years, as you'll hear Logan explain. That's crazy. That's a long time. There's a treasure trove of covers on their website. So it was great to learn a little bit about Logan and his musical background, and loved chatting with him. Join us on Discord. That link is down in the show notes. Please subscribe and get notifications here to our YouTube channel. And if you're able to support us on Patreon, we would be grateful. All right, here is Logan Biggoron Tucker talking about his remixes.
Hi, my name is Logan Tucker. I use the artist name Biggoron, and I'm a video game cover artist based in Richmond, Virginia. Been playing keyboard for like 3 decades probably at this point. Probably getting serious about it in my teens, and just having a lot of fun. Meeting friends online, making music with them, and just sharing a big part of something that's really magical for a lot of us. Yeah, I'm really happy to be chatting with Emily today.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're here. But tell me how you decided to try doing video game covers, or at least publishing them. Or so. I was surprised right before we hit record to learn that you've only been doing this for about a year. I did not pay attention to any of the dates on your Bandcamp, which was maybe a reporting error on my part. But I was surprised to learn you've only been putting this stuff out there for about a year. So can you tell us how that happened?
Yeah. I did some small things probably like starting about 15 years ago, just for fun. Like little terrible covers that I would just plug my Korg workstation into the computer, line in jack, and just hope for the best. Didn't use a DAW or anything, just went for it. And no, I got busy. We had kids, got 2 kids that kept me very busy. And I was doing a little music when I could, but it just couldn't do much. So I guess early 2022, I was able to build a computer. My spouse bought me a MIDI controller. It's right here, and nice. Just kind of started collecting. There's a lot of good free software out there to just go nuts with, and invested a little, and then. I knew about Dwelling of Duels, the Dwelling of Duels song contest in the past. It's a website that has monthly contests where they have a theme and people submit and then vote on it. I had submitted back in 2016, just kind of a random track, and it didn't gain a lot of traction because, once I started getting back into this, I was like, well, I want to make music. I don't have time to do original stuff. Let me lean on something that's fun, something that people love, and something that I can just really, put my own spin on it and have fun with it without really, devoting a ton of my energy and my time, because I just don't have much of that. Mm-hmm. And so I started there, and sure enough, they announced that it was March of 2022 that the theme would be Nintendo 64 month. And I'm a huge N64 fan. It's the crux of my nostalgia right there. I was, between 8 and 12 when the games were coming out. And that's the time, the era. So, I jumped into that. And then the thing about the song contests, especially if they're monthly, is it's addicting. So you finish one, you find out the theme for the next month, and you're already like, yeah, I'm gonna do that one too. And it's a cycle.
Yep.
And so because of that, that's kind of where the high rate of productivity comes from, cranking it because it's like a song a month.
Sure.
And then after a year, and then you're not just doing your songs, you're doing stuff on other people's songs too.
Yeah.
So yeah, after a year, you're gonna accumulate tracks without even thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that kind of sucked me in. And then very quickly, even though I've only been recording video games covers for about a year, I have been playing in different circles for a very long time. And, I'm comfortable with improvising and just kind of coming up with stuff on the spot. So, yeah, once I got into it, it was really just figuring out the technical stuff. And I had some really good mentors and within the community that helped me just figure things out quickly. I just, would click around and mess around with stuff. And and here I am. Like time just kind of flew by. And it's been amazing, like absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no kidding. And I mean, I love the most recent thing that's up on your Bandcamp. It was a 1-minute challenge, but you're like, well, I finished it so fast, I just made a couple more. So the addiction is real, huh?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
And, and even though they were so short, I was like, I think when I made them, I was like, maybe I'll expand these into larger tracks and put them out there.
Yeah.
But then, like I said, the monthly cycle comes around, you get tied into other stuff. And I was like,
Yeah.
I've been kind of quiet. Let me just throw these out there. And,
Yeah.
so I did have some artwork really quick and just, that's the thing about Bandcamp and stuff is like, when you want to release something, you can just do it. Like nobody's going to stop you. You don't have to wait. It's just there. And that was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. One of those 1-minute tracks was from Chex Quest. And at last year's VGM Con in 2022, Andrew Bennon, the composer of that, was I did a panel with him because he lives here, because General Mills is headquartered here, yada, 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 all the
That's
things.
awesome.
And and so I was like, Chex Quest, yes, that's great. That really is of an era. That was, I guess, early 90s. Yeah, right?
Yeah, like mid 90s.
Yeah.
And I didn't have it, but my friend had it. I would
Okay.
go over to his house, and it was like the most because our computer was garbage like at that time. But his house, his dad built the gaming rig. They had all of the stuff. They had like Civilization and Jazz Jackrabbit and all that stuff. And so he showed me Chex Quest, and I just thought it was the coolest thing. I didn't know what Doom was, but I was really digging on Chex Quest. I was like 8 or 9, and so I always told him I wanted to cover some of those songs really just for my friend. And just that's what I love about this is to like, some of the games that I shared with my friends growing up, to cover those tracks and be like, hey, guess what? I made this like cool funk cover of this song. And they're just like, what? You remember that? I'm like, yeah, I do. So that was for him. And I had fun with that.
Talk to me a little bit about your style in general. Do you feel like you have one? I mean, I feel like there's a lot of kind of 80s influence in some of the tracks, synth-wavy stuff, but it really does kind of run the gamut. So in some ways, so talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, for me, some of my earliest influences when I really started getting serious about playing the keyboard in my teens, Deep Purple, Leonard Skinner, Led Zeppelin, stuff like that. I was listening to guitar players and keyboard players and learning from them. So there's a lot of 70s influence in what I have, and maybe without knowing, like a blues. ZZ Top was a big favorite of mine as well. And then I really didn't like 80s music until I don't know, like 5 or 6 years ago. And I started to really, because I think part of being a keyboard player for me was like, so the thing about the keyboard, you would always want to try and pretend to be something you're not. I would try to get patches that sound like real bass, like real guitar, and it's impossible. So finally, I think I finally embraced like the organic synthesizer, like just that cheese, that corniness, and I just fell in love with it. I think what kind of drew me in, because probably about 5 or 6 years ago, I really started to get into like synth pop and just really bubbly stuff, which is a total. I was like a metalhead and prog and all that stuff, and so I kind of got. I don't know, burnt out. I wanted something funky and fun and I don't know, like something accessible. But I think, and then growing up, the 90s music, a lot of that stuff is a huge influence. Like even listening to what the like the Swedish composers behind all your Backstreet Boys and Britney Spears and all of those guys, that whole scene. of the late 90s, just they were so good at making catchy, awesome stuff. And yeah, I don't know. It just ended up being this huge conglomeration of 70s, 80s, 90s music, and just the tropes and the things that we like from that era that makes us feel warm, and it makes me feel good. Like synthwave. I love some synthwave, but a lot of synthwave is just very straight beat, and I like to bring in a little more of the, I don't know, just the kind of grooviness, the funkiness to it as well. So it just ends up being this blend, and everybody says it just kind of sounds retro, kind of old. It's just this huge conglomeration of all the things I love, and that I know that other people enjoy as well. And that's what I feel like is what makes music special, is when it draws from a lot of influences and somehow makes something feel fresh and kind of stand out. I didn't know if I had my own sound or not, but after doing Dwelling of Duels contest entries for about a year, when we do the listening parties for the songs, they're anonymous. We don't know who makes the songs.
Okay.
But if they hear the song that I'm on, they know it's me. I stand out very quickly. So even if I don't think I have my own like sound and vibe, I do, and I may not even know it.
Yeah. So how did you learn about Dwelling of Duels? And talk a little bit more specifically about that. That contest.
No, that's a great time for that. So I actually don't really know where that connection happened, but I think it was probably like in the like 2012, somewhere between 2012 and 2015. I was going to MagFest out here in DC. They already had a presence there because Dwelling of Duels has been around since 2003.
Oh, wow.
And yes, they are about to celebrate 20 years of these contests. And all of the entries all the way back to the beginning are still available on the website.
Nice.
Yes. So I don't know. I think I found out about a huge Chrono Trigger cover project that was happening in, I think, 2015 or 2016. And I was really into the game at the time. The soundtrack was blowing me away. And this project spoke to me. Like, it was just this huge, they wanted to do all the songs. And I found that they also did a Secret of Mana one. And I looked at that and listened to that. And I found out, at some point, the name Dwelling of Duels was tied into that. And so I ended up checking it out, and I thought, this is cool. And I would just go back through the entries and find, songs from games I liked. And, some of them were okay, but some of them just blew my mind, that people were creating these things for no reason other than just having fun.
Yeah.
And I don't know. So I wanted to get in on that, and like I said, I entered a few years back, and I couldn't keep up with it. My kids were already born, so I really didn't have the time for the output. And just fell out. And then, I don't know, I guess I kind of followed them on social media, just kind of checking in every so often, joined the Discord server,
Nice. Got
to chatting with some of the guys there who were, very, very inclusive, very willing to help and offer advice and just chat. And then, like I said, March, it's time to go. So, I feel like Dwelling of Duels is the ultimate fast track to learning, collaborating, learning, not just music, but also music production, how to really sell a track, because you're getting feedback every month on your track. You're getting ranked against other songs, and you kind of learn what works and what doesn't. And that translates outside of the, the contest, outside of the DoD community. So you link up very quickly with world-class guitar players, bass players, drummers, saxophone players, horn players, vocalists. I mean, they're all just there.
Yeah.
They're all just doing this for fun. Some of them are professionals, but I mean, everything we do in the contest is just for, just as a hobby. So, and if you're a nice person, like, people will want to work with you. Not even if you're that, like, you don't have to be a world-class musician. If you're a cool person and you all kind of get along, you want to work together, you want to collaborate. Because, every month at the beginning of the month, the theme gets announced. And for the Patreon users, the theme gets announced a few days prior to the start. They get a little bit of a heads up.
Okay.
So like when that's announced, you instantly start just either going through your own banks, being like, like say the theme is like, for me, a good example would be Max this month was last year.
Okay.
Just for the Max, so it had to be from a Maxis game. So instantly you're like thinking back through games you've played. I played The Sims, I played SimCity, but I didn't remember any standout tracks. So I went digging, and that's the fun to me. The hunt is like, let me go find something obscure, something weird, something that nobody's thought of, and if it's good, there's a lot of really good stuff just hiding.
Yes.
And to me, that's half the fun. Some guys, they only want to cover stuff that they feel particularly nostalgic about, and that's cool too.
Right.
But yeah, it's so fun. It's been the biggest boost to my motivation, my creativity, everything. And it's gotten me here where I am today. Like, chatting with you, chatting with other cover artists, and even having chances to like play at some of these festivals. And just being a part of the VGM Con, the Game Remix Awards, actually being nominated for that was like just seeing myself up there with these big, awesome musicians was crazy. And so none of that would have been possible without Dwelling of Duels. And amazing. I've made lifelong friendships already. I've met them. I've one guy was traveling through with his family. They were in town. He's like, let's meet up and have coffee, and we hung out. It was so cool. It's been really special. And as far as like people could spend years trying to build up a community and a network like this, it's a Dwelling of Duels. And people, if you're willing to play nice with others and just be receptive to the feedback and give as much as you get, it could be a really good thing.
That's amazing. You were talking about digging for something special. Is that how you found that random Sims track that wasn't released here?
Yes.
Talk about that, because that's a really fun cover called The Right Stuff from SimCity 64.
Yeah, I'm glad you did like a little bit of digging before that, because I was going to say just that. It is hard. Everybody was kind of like, I don't want to say dragging their heels, but kind of belly aching about the Max this month theme when it was announced, and people, we didn't get a lot of entries that month. People were kind of like, there's not much good.
Yeah.
And I instantly just took to YouTube, and I actually had a few tracks that caught my eye. I think it was like Sim Safari has some good stuff, and SimCity 2000 for, I think, the N64 port, or like one port of SimCity 2000 has some really good music, whereas the one I played on PC, I didn't remember any of it.
Okay.
But I've really been intrigued by the Nintendo 64 disc drive that never got released over here, and it's kind of just this like treasure trove of these Japan only games with amazing songs that it's kind of been like my little secret pool pile, going in and being like, nobody's ever heard of this stuff. And I found out about SimCity 64, like, and apparently it was huge. Like, it was crazy innovative. It was it had like street level view of the game. It had a copter mode built in. It had all of this stuff. It was a direct sequel to SimCity for the Super Nintendo. And it had Dr. Wright in it, which is where I got the name of the song from. It had a few good songs. And I went to my friend's David. He's a guitar player. He's got his he does a project called Extrinsic, and he's somebody I pulled into Dwelling of Duels, as well as our friend Sabrina, who plays keys, somebody else I pulled in from into Dwelling of Duels. I met both of them on like a prog rock Discord a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And I was just like, guys, you gotta come check this out. We're having fun over here. And I got them addicted. They're in every month now. But yeah, that was me that got them in. So yeah, David plays guitar, Sabrina played the keyboard, and we had no plan going to that month, and we were all just throwing in ideas, and it was so fun. It ended up being really good. David, he was like, hey, you'll never guess what, I did this slide guitar thing, and he sent it to me, and he said it was inspired by his grandfather, and
cool.
it was just, that's what I'm saying. It's so fun to just, we all draw from our own experiences and our own heart.
Yeah.
And it was so fun. I loved just, pulling out really random crazy stuff is kind of my is one of my trademarks in the community. And
oh, nice.
I take this mention. There was another game, and this one wasn't on Bandcamp, so you wouldn't have heard it. Well, not for me.
Okay.
It's actually on Joe Newman because he was the sax player I did this with.
Oh,
But
okay.
it
Okay.
was a cover of a game called Dry Mouth. Dry Mouth was a Game Boy game composed by Vert Jake Kaufman. Um,
Oh, yeah.
before he was huge, and like the game never got released. He didn't get paid for it. Uh,
Oh.
but the songs were so good, and I found it, and I even had to ask permission because the game was released as a ROM on their website when they didn't get it released, commercially. So
Wow.
I asked the Dwelling of Duels, like the head honcho Katajun. I asked him, "Hey, do you think this would count?" And he was like, "Yeah, that's some good stuff." And so I brought this track and we made this super funky thing, and just me and the sax player, and it was like this disco like 90s house sounding thing,
Mm-hmm.
and we won that month. It was for the Game Boy theme,
Okay.
and so that to date that's probably like the most obscure thing I've pulled out, just because it's a game that was never released.
Right. Yeah,
And
that's pretty obscure.
so we so yeah, that's part of why I love the contest so much. It gets me exposed to new stuff. It
Yeah.
helps me expose people to new soundtracks they've never even thought to think about.
Hmm.
And yeah, so it's a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
Oh, that's great. So you did end up doing Chrono Kong mashup. Was that for the Chrono Trigger month, or was that? Am I getting my years mixed up now? When did you do Chrono Kong?
So Chrono Kong, it was last year. It was for the theme was Yasunori Mitsuda, the
Oh,
composer.
okay. Okay.
And
Yeah.
he composed both Mario Party and Chrono Cross. The first Mario Party, only the first one.
Okay.
And which is, I had no idea that he did that. We were all like, when the theme was announced, we were all just kind of spreading out and just like landing on all these Mitsuda soundtracks.
Hmm.
Everybody knows Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross,
Yeah.
the things that he did for various other titles. But I like to just kind of dig. Um, so I realized that the song DK's Jungle Adventure from Mario Party and the song I think it's called Dancing the Tokage from Chrono Cross sounded very similar. They have this Mitsuda's got this like shuffle that he does, like this kind of just
Hmm.
like almost like New Jack Swing, kind of like this triplet beat that he does.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, I can make these songs work together. And again, I called on Joe Newman,
Hmm.
sax player. I was like, hey man, you want to come in on this? He came in on with sax. He came on in with melodica, and we just made this crazy funky thing that kind of came together. And it's fun because you only have a month to do it. You have 30 days from the theme announcement to submission to really
Right.
crank these
Yep.
out. So a lot of times they start as something and they end up as something different, or you're just kind of composing along the way. Like you're just kind of
Sure.
yeah. So that ended up being really cool. I couldn't
Yeah.
believe how well those tracks worked together, and it was it. We did well. We did well that month. There were some really in the rankings. There were some really amazing tracks from like Chrono Cross, really beautiful songs that some people did
Hmm.
amazing job with. Um, but it's still one of my favorites to this day because it was a Mitsuda month, so a lot of people brought this symphonic, this metal,
Sure.
this beauty to it, and
Yep.
then right there is this weird, I don't know, this weird like funky jungle sounding, and here's okay, best part. Joe came up with this. There's some monkey sounds that play at the end.
Oh,
That's
really?
Joe on the saxophone. That's Joe on the saxophone making monkey
Okay.
sounds, and we had to tell people that because they just thought I sampled monkeys. Nope, that's all
You say
saxophone.
you physically sampled monkeys.
So no, I still go back to that one when I just want to feel good. It just puts me in a good mood because
Yeah.
yeah, it was cool.
It's a fun one. Um, how about Obsidian Mile from Blast Court? This one, I have to tell this story because I was going to take a walk. I live, I live in Minneapolis. I was going to say I live by a lake, but so does everyone in Minneapolis. They're everywhere. And I was just going to go have a little walk around the lake, and I was listening to your music. And then as I walk, everyone who listens to this show knows this. I just take screenshots as I'm like, if something catches my ear or something, I'll just screenshot it so I can look at it later. Mm-hmm. And so I was like walking out the door, and I was about halfway through the track in your keyboard solo, and this blazing fast A-Team theme goes by, and I'm like, what? Was that the A-Team? Like, and the door was like open, and I was like, I have to figure this out right now. So I like closed the door, put everything, whatever. I'm like, get my reading glasses on and like look and just scroll back. And I'm like, oh my God, that's the A-Team in there. That's so funny. Screenshot. So talk to me about that. I just got a huge kick out of that.
Yes, I would love to. Because you're only the second person that I know of to notice that. So I was doing the track, and like, so one thing, another trademark of mine is that I like to throw in quotes that are kind of subtle, but not always, and they're just kind of like they're just kind of like I see what you did there quotes, like
like Dexter Gordon.
Something
Dexter
like that.
Gordon
and
did that stuff all the time. Yeah, yeah,
it's fun. They're like little, like almost like little tongue-in-cheek things.
For sure.
But yeah, so for that one, in the game Blast Corps, which is a game that I didn't own it as a kid, but my friends did.
Okay.
And I would go over there. This was before I had a Nintendo 64, and they had that Mario Kart 64, and I would just play this weird game because everything Rare made for the Nintendo 64 was weird. Like that was a thing. It was the whole thing. Yeah, so this weird game Blast Corps, and I just fell in love with like the everything about it, just the music, the visuals, and just the crazy bombastic, for lack of a better expression, vibe from the game. So I found out later, I don't think I knew this playing the game back then, but you can actually unlock B.A. Baracus's GMC van in the game from the A-Team.
Amazing.
Along with, I think, the General Lee from Dukes of Hazzard, Starsky and Hutch's Torino is in the game.
Okay.
They just threw in all of this crazy nostalgia. Yeah. So I don't know. It's something that stuck with me. And the A-Team theme is one of the songs I learned when I was probably like 13 or 14, because I used to just love to play TV and movie themes. I would just pick up stuff.
Me too. Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah. That one, and like, I don't know, The Magnificent Seven, the Western theme. I loved playing that one.
Yeah.
So anyway, when I was doing the solo, I was, I improvise everything. I don't write solos. I just go for it. I think, that's kind of, so for me, that's one of my strengths, is that I can improvise. It's something I'm pretty comfortable with. And it's kind of inverted from most keyboard players that can read music. I can't read music. I'm really bad. It's really difficult for me to learn songs sometimes because I have to learn it either by ear or just seeing the notes played out in a piano roll. So I think you had I think Lacey Johnson was on the Keytar Queen probably about a year ago, I listened to that, and she started talking about, like, as a keyboard player, like, she could play anything, but kind of just off the cuff, it was a little tricky. And I'm the complete opposite. Like, I struggle to learn things and memorize things, but off the cuff, just go for it. So I was making that solo. I was like, I'm just gonna throw in the A-Team theme here because somehow it works. And like I said, you are the second person to make it known to me that you caught it. So I really appreciate that. That made me feel good.
Oh, good. I'm glad. And it honestly, hearing it made me wonder what else I was missing in some of your other tracks. And so now you've like presented me a challenge. I want to listen, I don't want you to tell me, but I might not know them either, like might not be so ingrained in my brain like that theme is, but because that's part of it too. It's like someone has to know the theme to even pick it up, obviously. So, but now I'm super curious because yeah, that's great. We used to joke about that in college because one of my best friends in college is a tenor player, and he would always toss in quotes like that. He loved Dexter Gordon, and so we always would listen to so much Dexter Gordon and just hear all the, and sometimes you're like, oh God, there he goes again. But most of the time it's like, yes, way to fit that in there, buddy. But yeah.
Honestly, it must be I'm sorry, it must be a sax player thing, because this is also a Joe Newman thing. And I get with him a lot because we gel together as musicians so much, and we have to have fun. and that
Mm-hmm.
dude cannot stop himself from putting in like almost every little quote he puts in is from something. Like
Yeah.
we did a song, and he threw in the there's a TV show called Bluey that my kids love and
Oh,
that I
yeah.
love.
I'm aware of
It's
Bluey.
probably the greatest children's show of all time.
It's a
Um,
good one. It's a good one.
so yeah, Joe will just randomly drop the Bluey theme motif like just somewhere in a track, and just kind of sometimes just to get my attention. And I'm gonna go back to Dwelling of Duels just a little bit. They
Yeah, do
have
it. Yeah.
there's actually a quote that they use there. I'm not going to say the name of it because it's kind of gross, but if you do a little digging, you might find out. But it's this one 5-note sequence that a lot of people throw in as an inside joke, and
Okay.
yeah, so we're all it's kind of a thing that we all do to some point. It might be
Yeah.
something we bring in, and it might be
Yeah.
that, but we like to just throw those little like hey, did you catch that? Like kind of like
Yeah.
you're looking at your friend, kind of nudging them, like, huh, So it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you've been playing keyboards for, give or take 30 years, I just assumed that meant that, when you were young, you started piano lessons. But is that not the case? Did you not have formal instruction and you just learned on your own, as many fine musicians do?
I just learned on my own. I remember
Hmm.
I was
Wow.
probably like I was somewhere between 4 and 6 when my parents bought me a used Casio tone. I remember it. I can't even tell you what model it was at this point, but it was this maybe 49 key black and red model, and it came in like a little bag and stuff. And gosh, it had like the rhythms built in and all the beats
Yep.
and different tones and stuff. And I mean, and yeah, I was so I was in and out of being homeschooled as a kid.
Okay.
So I had time to just mess around. And I
Hmm.
think that was a part of it. Like I had the keyboard and just a lot of time to just pick up and play songs. I had a songbook that was because I didn't know music. It had a songbook that was it taught the songs by I think color or something like that. Or just maybe the names of the notes like
Hmm.
ABC.
Yeah.
And I would pick up stuff like just little songs. And then I think for my birthday when I was like 10 or 11, I got a nicer keyboard, like, just one of those little learning ones that you find at
Yeah.
Walmart or something. And that's when I really started to take off with it. I was learning songs. I was like listening to, I'm just an example, like Linkin Park at the time, copying some Linkin Park songs on the keyboard
Okay.
or,
Yeah.
uh, or the TV themes like I talked about. And then
Yep.
I got in with like a youth group band at one point and started playing with them. And then just jamming with friends. We meet up like in my late teens, early 20s, and just start playing like metal, like symphonic metal stuff. Because,
Hmm.
or like pretend to play jazz as best we could. It was probably terrible. And then I did like one band thing and probably, like 2014 or so. And it was cool, but, having kids kind of kept me at home.
Hmm.
And I had to step down from that, but I would always find time to try and do it when I could. But honestly, over a lot of the last decade, I was pretty dormant. I didn't have much.
Yeah.
I couldn't. I had nothing to invest in it. Time, money, otherwise, or energy,
Right. Yeah.
because kids.
Kids, right?
And
Yeah. Yeah.
so the kids are older now, and
Hmm.
and it helps because I have time. They sleep at night. I can
Yeah.
do stuff.
Yeah. They can
And,
like
but
get a snack
but
themselves and whatnot, right? Yeah.
yeah, but they're also super hype about the music too, and I
Oh,
can't tell you how
cool.
motivating that is, like to be doing something,
Yeah.
to be doing a type of music that they really enjoy. They give me active feedback. They're like okay, for instance, the Toad's Turnpike Mario Kart 64 cover that was actually nominated for the game remix thing. They don't
Yeah.
like that song. They're like, that's your worst song. We don't like it. We don't like to listen to it.
I thought it
Um,
was great.
yeah. Meanwhile, they're like, I ask them, what's your favorite? And they're like, oh, we like the Mischief Maker song. We like I just did a song. Okay, so this will air after the results come out, so I can say this. I just did a song with my friends this past month for Rystar, the Genesis game,
Yeah.
and it ended up being like a samba thing. Joe kind of ran that, but I did the synth on it, and
Hmm.
so I was a part of that. And the kids are like, "Yeah, we love this. This is great."
Yeah.
So I like that feed. That means more to me than feedback from most people, getting
For
results
sure.
and from my
Yeah.
spouse. If the music's good, it's going to speak to non-musicians.
Yep.
You have to take their opinion at heart, because it's the most.
Yes.
Sometimes it's the most valuable thing. But yeah, so it's just been, and like I said, over the last couple of years, I was able to upgrade my computer, get the controller, and just fell into it. And it was like for my mental health and for my well-being, it's been huge. Like, I feel like I'm finally, it's almost like it's never too late. Like, I feel like here I am doing stuff I would have loved to have done a decade ago or more, but I've been able to catch up very quickly, and it's been super cool. Like, it's my passion. It's something I love doing. I don't do this professionally. I've gotten paid for a few different things over the years, but I like keeping this as a hobby. I like having my day job, my boring desk day job, and then then I can save my creative energy for what I want to do, what makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And so, that's basically been it. And I say, like, I'm 35 now, so it's weird to say 30 years. Like, talking to you today is the first time I've used that, because in my mind it's like, in my mind it's like, I've been playing for 20 years. And then when you ask me that, I catalog that. It's like, oh no, it's pushing about 30 now. But I really get serious about it into my teens, but it was always kind of just messing around, but no training. I would have liked that. I would have loved to have learned how to read music, and I still want to. It's something I haven't given up on. But as far as Writing, I'm fine to just do it, as a MIDI, or as the way I've always done it, because it works for me. It just it would be nice to learn, the language of music, to learn more of that. Now that I'm working with collaborators, working with people that are classically trained, it helps you. It helps you get to the point a lot quicker when you can just say, use turn, like, I learned one this past week called I think it's Montuno, which is like a repeating piano pattern. I didn't know what that was by name, but I knew what that was by music. And so now, I would just say, and I've just learned, I just picked up stuff along the way. And to me, that's part of my strength, is that I don't play by the rules. I don't know the rules. So I just kind of do whatever works. And that's when I'm pulling from, like, when I'm doing like this 90s house piano thing over a 80s rhythm, and like, just whatever I want to just throw into the pot. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to scrap it and do something else. But yeah.
So what is your boring desk day job, if you don't mind? What do you do?
Anti-money laundering for a large financial company. Really just kind of doing reports, and just nothing exciting. It helps keep me in line and what's going on with the world of credit card fraud. But
it doesn't sound boring to me at all. It sounds fascinating. It's basically it's mainly just keeping our company in check and compliance. But the good news is it lends itself to a lot of, like, just busy work, and that's headphone time, that's music time, that's soundtrack research time that I get to do. And you got to have some music playing. Even we've been remote for over 3 years. Even when I was in the office, they let us, just throw our headphones on and work. And that's when I would discover stuff like, a lot of the songs I've been covering over the last year are stuff that I've been wanting to do for years, probably because I found out about them hearing it at work. Yeah.
So,
no, that's great. That's great. So you've found, I take it, most of your collaborators through Dwelling of Duels, or how did that happen? Like, how did you meet Joe Newman? Because we're going to have Joe on. I have an interview scheduled with him. I'm not sure exactly when, but soon. And he was already kind of on my radar. And so when you're like, you should interview Joe, I'm like, well, yeah, that sounds great. And so, so thank you for facilitating that connection, first of all. But, talk a little bit about how you've met some of these folks.
Yeah. So mainly Dwelling of Duels. Like I said, the folks that work with me on the Wright stuff were from a different Discord server that I knew beforehand.
Yeah.
It was like the Images and Words, r/prog metal Discord, where that was a huge motivator to get back into just music as a whole. And I did meet musicians there, but a lot of them were A lot of them were not super active at the time. They were like me, kind of, yeah, we play music, but life is happening. So it wasn't until I got into Dwelling of Duels where I was really meeting up with active recording musicians. And and like Joe, so I hit it off with Joe because we are both parents. We both got 2 daughters, actually. We live on opposite sides of the country, but we have the same energy and appreciation for this stuff, and it means the same to us. And we have songs that we're nostalgic about that we want to do, but we also can appreciate music from games we've never heard, never played, never want to play. We just pick stuff out.
Yeah.
And then we'll message each other we don't ever really plan to do a song together or something. And then it's just like, the beginning of the month, hey, you found somebody yet? Hey, you got a song yet? Look what I got. I got this. And we'll say, I'll throw them throw something out there. And so we don't mean to collaborate so much, but it ends up happening because we work together so well. And yes, he's somebody, he and some others are somebody that I would consider, somebody that I could be friends with for the rest of my life. And it's just somebody I met through this community. We get along with, when we met up at MagFest, there's probably like 12 to 15 people from Dwelling of Duels or kind of the adjacent community there. And I got to meet people for the first time. And just, I roomed with 3 of the guys, 2 of which are people I knew from the community. And that made us like super close. Like, I mean, just having those heart to heart stuff. It's a beautiful thing. I love people. I love being with people and just connecting with people very deeply. I can't have super just nonchalant relationships with these people that I really click with, because I just want to connect. And that's something I got from my mom. My mom's extremely personable. And speaking of my mom, that's another huge motivator, is my mom and my mom and my stepdad and even my wife's parents have really been invested in my music.
That's awesome.
And that's rare. Apparently that's rare for a lot of the video game cover artists and musicians, because the parents don't get it.
Yeah.
But because I make stuff that, I don't has kind of an accessible sound to it, they may not know the source, they may not care, but they know that it's fun to listen to and they like it.
Awesome.
So anytime I got a song coming out, I'll message it to my mom. I'll send her a link. And, when I get that text back that says, awesome song, honey, I love it. That means so much to me. I can't even, like I said, between my family, my immediate family, and also my extended family, just that feedback that I get from my siblings, from my parents. Yeah. It's so cool. Even as I'm a parent myself, I'm getting up there, and I still like, it means a lot to me to have that, that validation. So, but yeah, Dwelling of Duels, that's where I've made these friends. And, we work together, we chat together, we go through hard times together. Even in the server, a couple of us really petitioned to have like a channel for parents to chat about our kids.
Yeah.
And we share stories, because we got to vent. We got to lean on one another when we can. And I really, really appreciate both the musical and personal connections I've made through this community. And Dwelling of Duels has also helped me branch out to maybe some non-DoD musicians, and just those connections as well. It's been awesome. I've really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah. And you live in Virginia. Did you grow up in Virginia? Tell me where-ish you are and what you love about it.
Yeah. Always been here. I'm in the Richmond area, the Richmond Metro. I grew up about an hour south in Dinwiddie County, basically on a farm. I've kind of way disconnected from everything.
Yeah.
And no, I love Virginia. Apparently Richmond has a really good music scene. I've tried to connect with it. I'm in with a local collective, and they have like weekly jam nights, and it's really, really cool. But these guys are so good and so next level. And they're playing like, I'll go to like the funk night, the soul and funk night. And I feel like I'm like getting a grasp on like kind of funk music, but then I get with these guys, I'm just not like, I cannot measure up. I do not have the confidence to do it. But I'm trying to, I did post in our in the community for that. And I was like, hey, would anybody like to do like maybe some kind of video game jam? Because there's stuff for that out in the West Coast, like the Bay Area.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of happening. And I would love to connect with people here. And I think they're there, but just trying to find that connection is tough.
Yeah.
So I'm trying. But honestly, I think between, COVID, really getting people into remote recording and bedroom production, and just, learning how to branch out and communicate and connect through the internet.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't feel like I missed much. The song that we just did for the contest, the Rice Jar song, we had people on there from, I think, 4 different states or some 3 or 4 different states and, different time zones. And then the Right Stuff, the song we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, the Sims one.
Yeah, that one was, the guitarist lives in Toronto and the keyboardist lives in Brazil. So, we've got...
Wow.
I love it. I just love having these connections.
Well, Logan, what more do you want to say about your music? I've just thoroughly enjoyed listening to it. It's been such a pleasure to get to know you here on this chat, but also just through your music. What more do you want to bring up before we go?
Well, I can say that it's been a remarkable experience for me. Getting to chat with you today about these things that mean a lot to me. I never thought I'd get to this point. Like I talk about this to everybody around me and they'll ask, hey, hey, what you working on? And that's fun too. But to talk to somebody like you who really gets it, who's spoken to so many amazing composers and listened to so much of the material, it means a lot to me. I enjoyed this. I'm trying to get some, non-contest music out this year. I would really love to do an album. I'd really love to, even if it was just an EP, like me and some others have talked about it. We had a Knuckles Chaotic song that actually, placed first in the DoD contest for March. Really cool, like beachy track. I had fun putting all this 90s, like early 90s. It sounds like 1993 at the beach. It's like a spring break song.
Yes.
And so I'd love to just, I haven't released it yet. So I want to try and like find a way to maybe let that branch out into something new. But yeah, so for anybody listening, I would say, if you're looking to really dig into the video game cover community and learn a lot along the way and maybe make some friends, Dwelling of Duels is really fun. It's inclusive. We're never too big, never too big. Even as the listening parties grow to about 3 hours long or so, as they have the last few months, it can be a bit of a endurance fest, but it's great. It's awesome. And for those of us like me who, I've got the day job, I've got the kids, I'm busy. I don't have a lot of time to write music, to compose my own original stuff. I feel like I can just take what means a lot to me and just kind of run with it. And, I don't have to, and I know that people are going to appreciate it, not just because of the music itself and because what they can pull out of what I'm doing, but also because of what the composer did or what it connects to as a part of their childhood playing these games. Because, as the world around us gets really complicated, we get older and existentialism kicks in, sometimes we look back at those times and those games as really relaxing things to kind of get us through the hard times. And that's where I pull a lot of my music from, I could make something that's really technical or really big or really, something like that or complex. But honestly, I'd rather just make something that takes people back to a simpler time, because that's what it does for me. And that's where I'm at. That's why, stuff's going to sound, everything I make is probably going to sound a little dancey because I can't help it. I want to move to it. I want my kids to move to it. I want my friends' kids. My friends will send me videos of their kids, like their toddlers, dancing to my songs. And I mean, there's no higher compliment than somebody else's, kids enjoying your music. And so, it's a cool scene. I've gotten to meet so many awesome people like yourself and just have these conversations. I'm glad to be a part of it. I'm hoping to do a lot more this year and next year.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I hope you do too.
I'm just glad. Yeah, I'm just glad to be along for the ride.
Yeah. If you do the album, let me know. I mean, keep me posted always. I'll make sure I'm on your mailing list on Bandcamp. But yeah, if you do an album, that'd be awesome too. I would love that. It'd be great. Well, thank you, Logan.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time today. It was really great chatting with you.
Thank you, Emily. This was awesome.